5, The Crazy Canopy, pages 60 through 68. We're going to consider this question. What are the 4 levels of the rainforest? Describe each level using text evidence. And some words you should learn are etched, precise, and lagging. Let's begin. It wasn't long before Russell looked up from the canoe to see a dock where several large motorboats were tied. Javier helped pull the canoes ashore and quickly introduced himself to one of the boat captains, who'd take the team to the high ropes course. "Hello," the captain tipped his old baseball cap at the teammates. When he grinned, deep wrinkles etched their way across his cocoa-colored skin. Russell nodded to the captain and sat down next to Dev. Mari held on to the edge of the boat, easing her way in. Sage stood behind her. She faced Javier, the captain, and her teammates. "Let's remember, this isn't a sightseeing tour," Sage announced. "It's a race. Speed is a good thing." Then she sat down on the front plank by herself. Russell wasn't sure what Sage was getting at. Anyone who had actually read the wildlife packet knew that it paid to be observant. Sometimes there were extra challenges at the end of the race course, and paying attention could really help a team. Winning this race wasn't always about being first. Soon the captain began to steer the boat toward a wooden jetty that reached into the river. "Thanks," Javier told the captain before turning to the kids. "You guys go ahead. I'll meet you here after you get the next clue." The teammates murmured their goodbyes and rushed off the boat and down the jetty. There were lots of signs that read, "The course in the canopy." Even without Mari's help, Russell knew what that meant. He'd read about it in school. The canopy was the name for one of the levels of the rainforest. The top one was the emergent level. It was at the very tips of the trees, where harpy eagles could survey the forest, the treetops looking like fluffy green clouds. The canopy level was just below that, where the thick leafy branches provided homes and food for all kinds of animals. The next level down was the understory, which was mostly tree trunks and vines. A few animals lived in the understory, but it was much darker and there wasn't as much food. The bottom level was the forest floor, which was always covered in shadows by the trees above. Prime predators, like the jaguar and ocelot, lived here. For most animals, it was safer taking cover higher up in the trees. And that's where the red team was headed, into the trees. They quickly found the starting point to the course. There, the workers, wearing matching course in the canopy shirts, handed them equipment. "How do we know these will hold us?" Mari asked as they all stepped into woven nylon harnesses. Russell noticed her hands shaking. "The harnesses are strong," answered Sage, "and carabiners, these steel loops, can hold hundreds of pounds. We just have to make sure they are locked when we attach them to the ropes." Mari glanced up warily. Nearly 100 feet above them, steel ropes stretched from tree to tree like telephone wires. "Don't worry," Sage said, her voice surprisingly warm. "We'll double-check for you. We'll look out for each other." Sage was first to climb the ladder. It led to a wooden platform that was built around a thick tree. From there, they would complete several obstacles. Dev followed Sage, then Mari. Russell would be last. Russell got antsy waiting for Mari. He didn't want to use the word slow, but he couldn't believe how precise she was. She grasped each rung of the ladder so carefully it felt like he was waiting forever. But once they were up top, Mari seemed more at ease. She got across the cargo net without a problem, and the tightrope. Now it was actually Russell who started lagging behind. Even though he knew it was a race, he slowed down to take it all in. For one thing, he could see a sloth only 10 feet away. It was just hanging there, upside down, with yellow claws that looked like they were straight out of a horror film. As he crossed a huge expanse between trees on a wobbly plank bridge, he stopped and stared at the world around him. It was entirely different up in the trees. The lush beauty shimmered in the sunlight. The sun blistered down from above with an intense heat. Now he understood the name. Like a canopy over an old-fashioned bed, the rainforest canopy covered most everything below. It shielded the lower forest from the sun and rain. Only small amounts leaked through. Russell saw macaws, cleaning their scarlet feathers with curved beaks, a troop of spider monkeys, plucking fruit from the branches, and lizards using camouflage to blend into their surroundings. They all called the canopy home. Over the crunches, squawks, and chatter, Russell could hear the familiar voices of his friends on the green team. They sounded far away, as if they were nearing the end of the course. "Russell, hurry up," Sage called from the next platform. For once she sounded more encouraging, less insistent. "You've got to see this." The slim bridge swayed as Russell made his way to the other side. "Check it out," said Dev. Russell leaned forward and focused where the others were looking, at a plant that seemed to be growing on one of the branches of a tree. It had lots of tall, spiky leaves, and in its center, there was a tiny pool of water. And there was something in the water. "Is that—" "It's a bromeliad," Mari said. "It's in the pineapple family, and it's amazing. It gets its food and water from the air, and it stores its own water, too." That's it for now.